All right, so let's have a real conversation about the US dollar. Because whether you realize it or not, it's quietly losing power. Not just because of inflation or political drama, but because the entire global economy is starting to shift away from it. And if you're not paying attention, this could change everything about how you save, invest, and build wealth moving forward. So today, we're breaking it down. Why the dollar is weakening, what's replacing it, and how you can actually come out ahead if you understand the game early. Let's start with the stat that most people don't know. In 2001, about 73% of global foreign exchange reserves were held in US dollars. By 2021, that number dropped to 59%. And now in 2025, it's fallen below 55%. That means central banks around the world are quietly moving away from the dollar. And you might be wondering, why? Well, the short answer is because the trust in the dollar is weakening. See, the US has printed trillions of dollars over the last decade, especially since 2020. The COVID stimulus, bank bailouts, infrastructure spending, military aid, you name it. But all that money printing comes with a cost, with inflation. And when you print too much, other countries start looking for ways to protect themselves. That's why nations like China, Russia, Brazil, even Saudi Arabia have been striking deals in their own currencies, or using alternatives like the Chinese yuan. Just last year, China and Brazil agreed to trade using the yuan instead of dollars. Saudi Arabia said it's open to accepting yuan for oil payments. Russia and Iran are developing their own digital currency for cross-border trade. That is what's called de-dollarization. It's not just political, it's strategic, because the more dependent the world is on the dollar, the more power the US has over the global economy. But if countries could trade in their own currencies or in digital alternatives, that power starts to fade. Now let's talk about what might actually replace it. Some people say it'll be the Chinese yuan, others say gold, some are betting on Bitcoin. But what's gaining serious traction right now? Stablecoins. Specifically US dollar-backed stablecoins like USDC or Ripple's RLUSD. Sounds ironic, right? The dollar is weakening, but the digital versions are getting stronger. Here's why. Stablecoins let you move dollars around the world instantly with no middleman, no 3-day waiting periods, and no need for SWIFT or wire transfers. And they're programmable. You can even build apps, services, and even countries' financial systems on top of them. That's why the US just passed the Genius Act, a new law that requires all dollar-backed stablecoins to be backed by US treasuries. And what does that do? It keeps stablecoins under US influence while still making them useful to the rest of the world. So even if countries stop using physical dollars, they might still use digital ones. That's the US strategy. Don't fight crypto, use it to keep control. But here's the wild card. What if other countries start issuing their own stablecoins? Or what if they ditch the dollar completely and settle in Bitcoin or Ethereum or a BRICS-backed coin? That's where things get messy. Because if the world stops needing dollars, the demand disappears. And when the demand drops, the value drops, which could lead to higher inflation at home, weaker purchasing power, and a tougher time importing goods. So what does this mean for you? It means the old rules of saving and investing might not work like they used to. If you're sitting on cash, especially in low interest accounts, you're losing buying power. If you're not looking into assets that benefit from inflation or dollar weakness, like Bitcoin, gold, or even certain stocks, you could get left behind. This doesn't mean the dollar dies tomorrow, but it does mean that we're entering a new era. An era where digital assets, decentralized finance, and multi-currency trade are becoming the norm. So if you want to build wealth in this new system, you've got to start thinking differently. Less about savings accounts and more about sovereignty. Less about what worked in the past and more about what's actually happening now. Because the world is shifting quietly and rapidly. And the dollar, it's losing its grip. Stay sharp, stay informed, and start positioning yourself now. And we'll keep covering this, and I'll see you in the next one.